Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. We're starting off today at our steel plant, and this is our first project for today is to revamp and expand this. We have a new recipe for making steel that makes use of iron bars instead of iron ore, which will allow us to increase the efficiency of this factory. We also have the ability to upgrade our miners to Mark II so we can expand it further, and we have a limestone vein there so we can also implement a section of it that will do reinforced or encased industrial beams. So what we're starting off with today. We're here at the workshop we set up here, and we can see that our encased industrial beams take 4 bars and 5 concrete. So we're gonna keep that ratio in mind as we get started building, and let's jump straight into it. All right, that is part one of our steel factory rework all complete. We have encased industrial beam production underway there in the back. We have one Mark II miner pulling 122 ore a minute, mixing with 122 coming down the coal belt there. That is producing 180 steel bars with our steel ingots with our alternate steel recipe, and then those are being all turned right now into steel beams, which works out because it's the Mark III belt material. Now, you may notice there's a little bit of a tower there. Those are 3 industrial storage containers all stacked on one another. That seems a little excessive. Or I thought it did when I first built it, just because I can't imagine what we would possibly need that many steel beams for that isn't sort of satisfied by just normal production. You know, we're producing beams at a rate of 45 a minute, and so I thought that would be a little excessive. Except I had originally started with a normal storage container, and it filled before I finished building the factory that was filling it. And so I thought, well, I might want to scale that up a little bit. So I made it 6 times bigger, and that's what that is. And we can pop on over and see how production is flowing there. And you can see we have almost entirely filled this container. We're getting a new one in on average every 1.5 seconds or so. Looks like it may have some fluctuation there, but on average every 1.5 seconds. And then we've also just spun up our encased industrial beam production, and so that's actually producing very nicely for how long it's been running. So our next step then is to tame the second iron vein over here, and continue piping some more coal across, and get our steel pipe production up and running. So that's what we're up to next. All right, and we are back with the rest of our factory all finished up here. So this is doing exactly the same thing we saw before. It looks like we actually have some backups on the pipeline there, so I'm going to see what that's about. But this is sending iron into iron smelters. Those are then turning into steel bars, which are then being sent into steel pipes. Now, I did take only 2 smelters worth and turn them into steel pipes. The rest I piped over and merged up with the steel beams. Well, I don't think we need more steel beams than we were making. We certainly won't need more than 2 smelters worth of steel pipes in the near future. And so that's just a way to offset that, especially since we need the steel beams for both reinforced steel beams, or the encased industrial beams, as well as for some of the project parts. Speaking of project parts, I'm over here at another little factory I've just set up. This one is a copper factory, and it still needs a few conveyors here and there. But what it's doing is it's mining some copper ore from this vein. We're just around the corner from our steel factory. It's smelting that copper up. This is a Mark I miner, so we're making 60 copper ingots per second. We're then turning that into 120 copper wire per second, and then into 60 cabling per second, and we're sending that over into an assembler along with a bunch of stators coming from our stator factory that was part of our motor factory. Remember, we had split off half of those stators there to go into storage. And we are now applying those here to this assembler, which is producing an automated wiring project part. Now, once I had missed a conveyor there. Once that conveyor gets up and running fully, then this will be fully efficient, and it'll actually backlog on the copper a little bit, but that's okay. We can adjust the timings on that to prevent that in the future, but you can see we are getting a few parts already. I think we need like 500 of those, so that's going to take a little while to run. But while that runs, if we head over here to our left, you can see yet another outpost factory that we have set up, and this is one that takes advantage of things we had already built. And so let's take a look at what that's doing. Over here at our steel factory, we have a truck station. This truck station has a Mark 1 belt feeding 60 steel beams per minute into the truck station, as well as pulling a little bit of coal off of the miner and feeder there. I do need to overclock that feeder there to provide an extra 20% or 20 more coal per minute or so, because that's about what this takes. And so then we have a truck that comes along. You can see the path here, picks up those steel bars and brings them along this road here to our outpost factory. This is our second project assembly part here. And you can see that this actually has two truck stops. One of these is for steel beams. The other one is for modular frames. And these modular frames and steel beams are then used to make our other project part here, the versatile framework. And so you can see this is already backlogged. We may even think about setting up an additional assembler here, just because we're producing so much more than that. I think our modular frame factory is actually doubling this input. I think it's making 5 per minute, and this only takes 2.5. And then our steel frames, again, we're feeding in 60 per minute, and so this only takes 30. So we may expand this just a little bit and put in a second assembler there, because that would be perfectly ratioed if we did, and then that will give us the versatile frameworks that we need for the project assembly. The next thing I want to do, and really the last thing I want to do in this tier, is go and unlock the hypertubes and play around with those a little bit while all this runs, and we build up a stockpile of those assembly parts. And once we have those assembly parts in place, I think we'll wrap up today by sending off that project assembly package and unlocking the next couple tiers. All right, we've gone ahead and expanded our versatile framework factory here just a little bit, and we've let it run for a while. You can see that it's still backlogged a little bit, but we're no longer building up any more backlog. These quantities have been stable for a while yet, and so we end up using about as much steel beams and modular frameworks as being provided. So that's perfect. That's just what we wanted. You can see we have built up a decent supply of versatile frameworks as well. We're almost to what we need for the space elevator. This has only been running for about an hour. I left it on while I went and got some food. And we are almost done with that particular part of the progression for this tier. We're going to head over, though, and take a look at the last milestone left in this tier, which is the hypertubes. All right, we're here, and you can see the hypertubes are left here. They require some copper sheets, some steel pipes, and some cased industrial beams, which we have plenty of all three of. So let's go ahead and load those up and see what hypertubes give us.
Milestone reached. Fixit Incorporated has processed and incorporated frequent Pioneer requests for pipe-based personal transport. Introducing Hypertubes. Safe, aesthetic, adaptable, fun. Enjoy a view of your hard work as you soar through incredibly tight turns. Build them today. Note: Fixit Incorporated is not responsible for any harm caused by irresponsible use of this product.
All right, so now we have hypertube. Let's go ahead and see what those look like. So go to transportation. All right, so we have a hypertube entrance, hypertube support. Okay, so I'm guessing this works like a pipe. Let's see. Let's build one up to the top of this building here, and let's do it from down here at the base of this. We need a hypertube entrance on it. Hypertube. Okay, so that, yeah, all right. So we need to make our way up there to build that. Other hypertube entrance there. Oh, okay. We have a power thing on them there. Let's see. Do they both need to be powered? Okay. That'll work. That'll do. Seems pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Okay. Well, that is definitely something we will have to bear in mind. Hypertubes take a steel pipe and a copper plate per segment. So let's see how much that takes. So 10 of each takes you this far. So that would make you use up a lot of those steel pipes, as well as our copper sheeting, which we have buckets of. So this could be a potentially very useful thing. We'll leave this one on and running, because that'll give us a nice way to access our workshop up here. One of many that we've constructed around the place. But yeah, my biggest hesitation with these, so I have two hesitations if I'm being honest. When we went down this hypertube, I got a little motion sick, which I've never gotten motion sick playing a video game before, but that messed me up. So we might hold off on those for that reason. It wasn't a problem coming up though. I think it was because we were in the third person view, it worked, but when we were going down, it kept us in first person for some reason, and that messed me up. The second thing is that these do require a presence on the land, and I'm really liking the way our sort of disparate factories are set up as individual structures and buildings, and I want to sort of keep that going at least for the time being, and at least for this part of the world. So hypertubes are maybe something. One of the things I was thinking about doing later on in a different part of the map is maybe like a city-style factory build for all the factories in that region, and hypertubes could be a really good way to get around that, maybe. But for now, I think we'll just leave this one here, and then if we come up with another use for them, we'll maybe implement somewhere elsewhere. All right, with hypertubes out of the way, it is time to turn our attention to our space elevator here. And we are going to have to start gathering up resources. We've had our project assembly parts under construction for a time, so we should have plenty on hand. I've actually already picked up some from over here. This is our smart plating factory, and you can see that it's been building a nice little stockpile. I've gone ahead and pulled out the 500 we need. I've also built an awesome sink over here. So we've been sinking smart plating in excess of what fits in the storage container, because I can't imagine we are going to need more than about 1,500 of these, which is what that container will hold at any given time. So we build up a stockpile of 1,500. If we need any more, then we can deal with that when that happens, but otherwise we sink the excess. So we can take 500 of these over to our space elevator and start loading it up, and then head on over to get the other parts we need. Sure, that's flowing in nicely, looking good. All right, let's go get some more parts. All right, here at the Versatile Framework factory, I happened to open this, and we have exactly 500 versatile frameworks here. So excellent. We're completely out, but we're already producing more for use later, or maybe eventual sinking. All right, our final project part for this one is the automated wiring, which we have 96 of, and we need 100. So we're going to hang out here for a few minutes while this finishes crafting. Looks like it'll be just about a minute and a half until we get it all complete. Right, and we have all 50 or all 100 of our automated wiring set up. So let's go ahead and grab those and head on back to our space elevator and get this thing underway. All right, as we head back to the space elevator to turn these in, I want to talk a little bit about how things are going to be changing as we advance in tiers. We're kind of transitioning from the early game into the mid game with the completion of these tiers. And that means bigger and much more complex factories and power plants. And the result of that means that a lot of the simple mistakes I've been making with things like, incorrect ratios and stuff are going to be magnified many times over to the point where they could bring an entire factory to a halt. And that's something we're going to have to be a lot more careful with. I think that that's a pitfall of the early game is that you can make mistakes and items are processed in low enough quantities and quickly enough that it isn't really a problem. So we're just going to have to clean things up a bit and be a little bit stricter about making sure we have perfect ratios across the board, be a little bit more disciplined. All right, let's get this set underway. And let's pop on over to the hub to see what new things we've unlocked. All right, we're back here at the hub, and it looks like the first tier 5 milestone we see is oil processing. So that lets us look for oil and craft some things with it, plastic and rubber and things. It's probably where we're going to start next time. It also looks like stuff that we can make as we have all the parts already automated to do it. We've got industrial manufacturing, so that'll take the plastic and rubber, but gives us our new project parts as well as a truck, which is I think the same as the tractor, but a larger vehicle. And then the manufacturer. So this is how we're going to make those more complex components that use more than 2 input parts. So this allows up to 4. We have the ability to package up fuel, the ability to make equipment, gas masks that'll let us traverse areas with that poisonous gas, and then some new things in tier 6, a new type of generator, so we can build some new power plants. A jetpack, which I'm really excited about, and then trains. And so this is probably where we're going to spend a great deal of time as we explore tier 6. We also have more advanced pipelines, so that's something else we can take a look at. Well, I'm really excited for all this. Let's go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, I'd love to hear them. And otherwise, I will see you guys next time.